The miracle of high-speed wire communication is commonplace today. Lift a telephone receiver and the world is at your fingertips, your fingertips, your fingertips.
There's a hot new trend sweeping the nation, and the media can't get enough.
Tweeting, that's what it's called, is becoming increasingly popular.
Keep twittering us.
Those tweets are starting to come back and bite you in the butt now, huh?
Yeah. You can tip off the wrong people, like, for example, burglars.
Between the tweets.
In today's Tech Bites, the free ride on Twitter may not last forever.
A new study warns that the self-promoting social networking tool, with its rapid-fire updates, undermines your morality.
For the uninitiated, here's how Twitter works. I have no idea. I have no idea how it works or why it is.
Twitter.
Twittering.
Twitter was started as an interesting way for people to update each other as to what's going on.
So on Twitter, users can blast a short message, and people follow users, and people will follow the Twitter.
To stay in touch with other people.
Just to do something. I think they're bored. Why do people walk around the streets talking on cell phones all day long? We got along without them before. I don't know why. And why do they walk back and forth with them? As if you got to recharge the batteries by having permanent movement. You don't need perpetual motion for those cell phones to work. But they keep doing it all the time.
Instant gratification. I think we like to be in touch all the time, right? Like you love when your phone goes off.
There's a couple of big lures. The first one is that it keeps you in regular contact with your friends.
Throughout the day, especially people who are at work and not necessarily around their friends. And so you're on your computer and you can have sort of small tidbits of information of what's going on with your friends and family.
For younger people, if you're in high school, it's a sort of absolutely crucial, because this is about how you know what cliques are doing, who's in what clique, who's out of what clique. These are incredibly important things that people learn to do in high school that they carry through them into the working world. And so social networking sites scratch that itch. They allow you to scratch it all the time, all day long.
Maybe your best friend of elementary school days has taken up with a new crowd and you feel left out and lonely. If this is a problem for you, take a look at yourself to see why you're left out. Usually people group together because they have common interests. If they have a common interest in talking about popular singing stars and that's not for you, be yourself. Find out what is best for you. Broaden your interests. Develop a variety of interests, and you will gradually become a part of a new group of friends.
If you have a group of people that you see regularly face to face, again, before you had social networking, you would see them every couple days or every few weeks, and so your conversation would begin, so what have you been up to, and that conversation has essentially vanished in the lexicon if you know exactly what everyone's been up to.
It probably strengthens close ties, but the weak ties, which are developed on social networking sites, also stay weak as well.
Sometimes you also get a situation where there's information flows online that don't move offline. People know something, they found out something online, and they're not really sure how to talk about it, so you get like this kind of back channel. Like, when people have broken up, you could see it on Facebook, but they haven't actually talked about it or posted about it, so you're not really sure when you go and see them, should we talk about this or not?
How do you write such good social letters?
Well, Nora, it's a talent. Some people have it and some don't.
There's two ways to communicate with people. There's synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous is when two people are in a room, they're talking to each other. They can see immediately someone's reaction when you say something, so you're constantly calibrating your emotional state to their emotional state. And asynchronous is when, like you write a letter to someone. Then they read it and they react to it and they write back and they compose their thoughts. And a bunch of things happen there. Some is that, you don't have an immediate sense of what someone's reacting to.
What is valued, though, is because of what I was talking about, the scale. All of a sudden there's 400 people. Or on Twitter, you're following all sorts of people, but who are you really going to follow? Something that you say, which then on the other side of your audience is going to go, huh, that is funny, huh, that's interesting, huh, I'll go to that link. So if there is one sort of genre that becomes extremely important within these mediums, it's that of cleverness and wit and humor.
But as to whether or not, it actually erodes the emotional connection between people, I don't really know. I mean, people are pretty good at teasing a lot of emotional signal out of very, very small snippets of text.
And there are plenty of times in life when you have to say no. Fortunately, sometimes it's easy. Saying most of the time is as simple as this.
No.
Thanks for asking me, but no. Yes, sometimes just plain no is best.
There's these arenas where you can have a sort of playground of the grotesque. And that's an interesting question about what are the effects of that on sort of people's moral perception. Talking to students who do go to these sites, they definitely say on the internet they become desensitized. But they do say that if, for example, they were confronted with a face-to-face encounter with something similar, in those contexts are not necessarily desensitized. And that there's enough sort of awareness of it's a different context where there's different sort of norms and behaviors than there are online. And in fact, people are very aware of that line that's kind of has been drawn in a sense. So, but time will tell, in a sense. It may be kind of too early to ascertain that as well.
And there are lots of new dangers that we have to look out for, too. That's why schools have safety clubs like the Danger Dodgers.
Then maybe I should join one while I'm still in one piece.
Terry, you're going to be all right. Danger Dodgers, I salute you.
We won't forget, Safety Woman.
Aware, alert, alive.
People were extremely worried about the idea that if you talked on the phone a lot, you simply would give up ever seeing people. They were extremely worried about that. They were worried about that with letter writing. They were worried about that with typewriters. They were every time there's been a new communications technology, people are very worried that it's going to eliminate previous forms of interaction. And the bad sides are a lot of uninformed gossip. There is backbiting. There are social dilemmas that come about because you need to manage people's, I guess, opinion of you. There is caution about talking publicly when you're worried about stuff being copied and sent around. There is an addictive quality to it. It can suck a lot of the oxygen out of a lot of other things. Those are all absolutely real limitations.
A very happy scene as well as a tumultuous one.
It potentially massively broadens your horizon of connections in the world, those weak links that can be very, very useful. Yeah. It opens up your ability to be socially aware of people you care about and interesting people that you don't know.
There is a tremendous degree of creativity and very playful forms of interaction that have emerged on these sites. And I also think that they're important avenues for interactions in the context of workers who are kind of stuck in offices. It used to be that factory floor workers would make objects for themselves in factories and steal time from their owners. And that same thing is going on today at a massive scale. And I would say that's actually really positive.
Hello? Hi, Lorraine. How's the party shaping up?
Hours ago, now the tune-up's finished, but your starting trouble comes from a broken choke column. Can't handle till 6:30.
Sorry to hear you're sick.